Good morning. I want to begin today by first thanking God for gracing us with His presence during the beautiful service celebrating and commemorating the life of Brother Jeremy this weekend. I also want to say thank you to the BHC family for everything you did to make this weekend what it was. Let's continue to rally around Tom and Belita, and let's keep the entirety of the Sipe and Watson families in our prayers in the days ahead. I promise I won't stay here forever, but my heart's still very sentimental this morning. And as I considered the beautiful service of Sunday's celebration, my heart was drawn to Psalm 90 this morning, particularly the last part of verse number 9. If this psalm is written by Moses, as it seems like a lot of commentators and scholars believe that it was. And if that's the case, then other than the book of Job, this is likely the oldest piece of writing that we have in the entirety of the sacred text. It brings weight to this psalm. And the verse that has my attention here this morning comes from a section of the psalm that deals with the brevity of human life. I want to direct your attention to the last clause of verse 9 and focus on the allegorical aspect of it. We spend our years as a tale that is told. We spend our years as a tale that is told. James asks the question in his epistle, what is your life? Now, depending on who you ask, you get a lot of different answers to that question. But the psalmist tells us in our text that life is a story and you are the author. And while the story of Brother Jeremy's life is still so fresh upon our minds, I'd like to talk to us today about the story that we're writing. It is first a personal call. We spend our years as a tale that is told. Life is a story. Every man, woman, boy, and girl is a writer. The psalmist said it in Psalm 45, the first verse, my tongue is the pen of a ready writer. With every day that passes, we add events to the story of our lives. We are called and commissioned to write our story. I can't write your story. You can't write my story. We must write our own story. And while situation and circumstance may color the context, I alone decide what is written in my story. And yet again, we have Brother Jeremy's example. Cancer may have colored the context, and it did, but it never controlled the story. They tell me about Robert Louis Stevenson in later years that he had gotten violently and even deathly sick. And during that prolonged sickness, he would ask for his writing materials, and his physicians advised the family not to allow him to write in that period of darkness. They said what he produces now will damage his legacy. But he persistently begged for his materials, and finally the family relented and they brought his materials to him. And much to the surprise of those doctors, the works that were produced in that dark period were some of his greatest children's works. Someone asked Stevenson how it was possible, and this was his response. He said, life may require me to paint some difficult scenery, but I get to choose the colors. And so do we. Situation does affect the story, but it does not control the story. Writing the story of our lives is a personal call, and admittedly, it is a painful challenge. We spend the years of our years as a tale that is told. And the painful part of it is that we must write the truth. There's the challenge. The story of our life must be a work of fact and not of fiction. We often seek to Photoshop the pictures, don't we? We want to embellish the story of our life. It makes for interesting reading, but it will not make the editorial cut. only the truth will appear in the final edition. Saint or sinner, good or bad, or some combination of the two, that's what will appear in the final edition of the story of our lives. What will be written in my life is what I really am before God and not what I wish I was. So the only way I can change my story today is to change myself. I can reread the story of my past, but I cannot rewrite it. As Pilate said, what I have written, I have written. My only hope today is to bring that story to the divine editor-in-chief and allow him to redeem it. Your story cannot be rewritten. It cannot be revised, but it can be redeemed today. The story of our life, and writing the story, it is a personal call. It is a painful challenge. And I must also remind you that it must be written within the parameters of a prescribed course. Our years, there is that course of years. You spend our years as a tale that is told. Again, the contextual aspect of the text is the brevity of life. The story of an entire life can be written in a matter of moments. Are we writing anything worth reading today? It's so important to realize we only have so much time to write. It's appointed unto man once to die, and after this, the judgment. Anybody besides me hate timed tests growing up? Achievement tests in school or college entrance exams when they would give you, 1,000 questions, or at least that's how it appeared, and 90 minutes to get it done, and you're scrambling to think, okay, I can allot this much time to each question, and we're flying through the test with one eye on the clock and the other eye on the test, and then all of a sudden comes those dreaded words, time's up. Put down your pencils and hand in your papers. I hated those moments. But there's a moment like that we all must face. We're writing feverishly right now. But there's coming a moment when time's going to be up. And we must hand in our papers exactly how they're written. We must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ. We've got to give an account for what we've done, whether good or bad. I remember one time in high school, rushing through a test, got done, turned the test over, and was sitting at my desk when my teacher walked by, and she said, I'll remind you, this test is worth 50% of your quarterly grade. Are you comfortable turning that in as it is written? That's the question that I want to ask us today. Are we comfortable handing in our story how it is written right now? Let me close today by skipping ahead to verse 12, where the psalmist reaches a powerful conclusion. We spend our years as a tale that is told. So teach us to number our days, that we may apply our hearts to wisdom. Our writing is not optional, but what we write and how we write is up to us. With that thought in mind, and Jeremy's example before us, let me leave you with 3 thoughts today as you compose your story. Number 1, write for quality and not for quantity. Don't just try to fill up pages. Let's be careful about what we're putting on those pages. Brother Jeremy proved again forever that it's not about the days of your life, but the life you put into the days that matters in the end. So write for quality and not quantity. Write for heaven and not earth. Don't lay up treasures on earth. Don't lay up stories on earth. Let's write for heaven. And lastly, let's write for eternity and not just time. We spend our years as a tale that is told. But let's write something that cannot be captured, that cannot be contained, and cannot be counted by years. How's it going with your story today? I suggest you enlist the help of the divine editor and let him help you write something that's worth reading. God bless you today.